Hello, everybody, and welcome into this week's 30 Minutes program. I'm really pleased to know that we have something special that you've never heard before, and this is all about, well, on holy ground, I found out. I got to tell you, this is going to be a really interesting program. We're going to be talking about the Dresden First United Methodist Church and the rebuilding of it. So hang on here for the next 30 minutes, and I want to invite Miss Sarah Pentecost, who I've known her for over 40 years, and Wayne McCreight, the same thing, who is both members, longtime members of the First United Methodist Church in Dresden. And Sarah, first off, I got to tell you, when Wayne came to me and talked to me about this, I just thought, we've never done a program like this. But this is a church that went away and is now back. Let's talk about that.
Oh, it surely did, Paul. It just devastated all of us. I married there. I was a member there from the time I was 9 years old. And Mike and I married there. Lynn was christened there. His funeral was there. It's just, it devastated us.
Tell me about what happened on the night of the tornado, where you were.
I was in my basement at home with about 25 people that had come there, and we didn't know anything had gone on until we first heard Country Corner had blown away. Mm-hmm. And then we later learned that our church had blown away.
What was it like coming out of the basement?
It was okay. We were all right at my address, but we didn't know it at all had happened. Not
to say that like this, but it was kind of the right side of town for you, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But not the church.
No.
Not the church.
No.
Wayne McCreight, thank you for coming in. Wayne and I have known each other for many years, and I have great respect for everything that he does. And this is a project that started back 5 years, I guess, or 4 years. How long has it taken to get the Methodist Church back up?
Well, we started immediately after the tornado, and our trustees met and started the plan to rebuild the church. However, we didn't have a place to meet. And the Pisgah United Methodist Church out on the Latham Highway invited us to come out and have our services at 9 a.m. before theirs at 11. So we were displaced from a physical building from the date of the tornado until April of last year, when we actually were able to move back in the new building that was constructed.
I hesitate to ask because I don't know the answer, but why did it take so long to get the church rebuilt?
Well, we had to go through the process. The process first was get with the insurance company, and then once we got that, to get the site cleaned up, and then to make a determination if we were going to rebuild back at that particular site or we were going to rebuild at another site in the area, either out on the highway or other locations.
Seems like it's almost, a disgrace not to go back, but I'm just saying, you always build back better, I'm told.
Well, yes, and we spent quite a bit of time talking about, and the Lord led us to the decision to build back at the same site.
Were you devastated? How would you describe knowing that your church has been blew away?
Well, when we were down there the next day and we saw what had happened, it was like, what in the world? What are we going to do? And so, we immediately formed our committee. Immediately began meeting and trying to go through the process.
We had to find some things that were still left on the ground, maybe, yes?
We have a number of things that we found on the grounds. And one of the things that we determined, or we found rather, that there was a cornerstone box that had been placed in the building when it was constructed, that part of the building, in 1923.
Is that when the church came? Church
actually built the first building there in 1883. Church was established in 1830-something. Mm-hmm. But 1923, when they built the structure that we had there, they placed a cornerstone box inside the brick on the right-hand side of the steps as you go up into the church. And we knew about that, and we took out the granite stone that indicated the date of 1924. And we found behind that the cornerstone box. It was a copper box that had a number of items in it that they put in, and it was welded. And so we found that, and then we began the process of determining how to open it. We did not know how to open it.
But you wanted to secure it more than anything else at the beginning.
Absolutely. And a trustee, chairman of the trustees, took possession of it. And then we began contacting different museums to talk about opening a box that was over 100 years old.
How heavy was it?
Probably weighed about 15 to 20 pounds.
Okay.
It was a lightweight box from a copper standpoint, but it had been securely welded. So we contacted State Museum, Pink Palace, contacted UT Knoxville. But sitting right close to us was Discovery Park. And when we contacted Discovery Park, they said, "Oh, we would love to help you open that box." And Scott Williams and his folks met with us immediately, and we began the process of opening the cornerstone box.
Now, let me say this, and I'm not really smart when it comes to using welding materials and a machine, but I can say you got to be very careful when you're trying to open that up. Am I right?
Yes. And we have a video that we play each Sunday before the 11 o'clock service that actually shows the process at Discovery Park of Discovery Park folks opening the box. It's going to be shown on our dedication Sunday coming up in a week or two, and it's also going to be available for anybody that would like to have a copy, which I'm going to have copies.
Mm-hmm. So I must ask, when you're talking about taking something away from the church, it's kind of almost, a separation. That cornerstone box had been there for 100 years, and now it's been moved. And I have to ask, where'd you put it after you sent it over to the museum in Union City?
We took it to Discovery Park, and there was a document that we signed with Discovery Park that they took possession of Cornerstone box and artifacts that were in it. And they were kind enough after the opening to continue to be the caretaker of those items until we were ready to get them back to the church.
So it had been that length of period of time that they have had it. Did they have it on display?
They did have it on display for a couple of 2 or 3 months, and then it went into their archives, and they took possession of that. They provided us all the videos of the opening and that type of thing. I can't say enough about Discovery Park. They are just absolutely fantastic to work with.
Wayne McCreight is with us, along with a very nice lady, Sarah Pentecost, and we're talking about rebuilding the Dresden First United Methodist Church. Let me go back here for a moment. Where were you when the tornado hit you?
Well, I live out in the county, out toward Sharon, and I was at home in bed, and it passed about a half a mile from where Diane and I reside. But I can be candid. I knew there was a storm going on, but that was it. The lights went off. The next morning is when I found out really what was going on.
It was a Saturday morning when everybody got up and started saying, "Oh my gosh, what happened here?" So the process of knowing that you don't have your church anymore, and then you're got to be sitting saying, "Okay, how fast can we get back up?" You got those little things go through your head, but that took a long time to remove all the debris of the church. What else did you were able to save besides the corner box? So, Miss Sarah, can you tell me about some of those things?
Several of the stained windows, stained glass windows, I say 3 were saved, and they've now been framed and put in the hallway of the new church. And then, well, we brought it all out to Mike's shop, a lot of it, and all the kitchen stuff, but we didn't save any of it. It was too large to save. So, all the pipes, all the organ pipes. We stored.
You had an organ that, okay, tell me about that.
The organ didn't make it, but the pipes did.
Wow. So
they brought all the pipes out to my house, and we stored them until Color Shop could restore them. Mm-hmm. And they're in the new church.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Paul, I know there is some more things, but I can't.
You know, I wonder about pews and none of those.
Pews. Some of the office things, how the secretary's office, the books and that type thing were saved.
Wow.
And it mostly hit from the, what would that be? Southwest, in from that area. And blew the ramp. There was a ramp there and blew all that. And all the second floor and third floor were totally gone.
When you went in the first time of the church after the EF, what was it like going inside that church? Or could you even get inside?
I didn't go to the second floor, and it was kind of like a death. I took it really hard, and I just turned around and went home.
Did you cry?
Sure, I cried. Mm-hmm.
You know, that's been your church all of these years. You just mentioned at the beginning.
All my life. Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of people don't think much about churches in regard of coming and going. We're not talking about any ugly stuff we're talking about the emotional part of it. And to know that church will never be able to be used as a church again.
Right. Mm-hmm. And you can't picture where our mother-in-laws and father-in-law or my mother and daddy or, sang in the choir or sat in the pews. It's just all gone.
Do you have any song books? Did you find any of those?
No. Mostly new ones. Mm-hmm.
Baptismal, any of those?
Yes, the font was saved, and the and another one there with it was saved, and the Bible that was on the
podium, I guess.
On the podium, yes, and anyway, it was turned upside down, and a page was kind of messed up, but some of them saved it and carried it to Memphis and had it restored the best they could. And now it's in the vestibule of the new church.
Tell me about the pastor during that time.
Oh, it was Brother Jordan, and he was so sympathetic and so helpful with us, and we just did what we could, and he helped us. We moved the basement, the office of the church, to my basement. I thought Mike would enjoy that in his man cave instead of us having to pay rent. He really didn't want church to spend money.
Well, and I think by and large, I must ask this question. How big is the new church? How many can it seat? I suspect you've got enough over 100 maybe, or maybe more than that. How many?
Church seating, about 115.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Paul, one of the things that you were talking about, the length of time, after the insurance company agreed to the total destruction of the church, and we started the demo to clean up and begin the process of determining, and we determined we would come back. We had to we determined to select an architect. So we interviewed different architectural firms for that. And we used architect Curtis Doss out of Nicholson, McGee, and Burke from Memphis. And then once we decided on that, we had to select a construction group to manage that. We had a couple of thoughts in mind that we wanted to build it on one level. Of course, we were going to build it back at the same location. And when we got through, we weren't going to be in debt. And we were a smaller church than we had been before because we've been out of our location for 4.5 years. And
would you let me just ask, why does this take so long to build a church?
Well, in addition to the time it took to select the architect and the time it took to look at the design and for the church trustees to agree to the particular design and the construction management company and to put it out for bids, to select the bids, And when the construction process began, then there was a supply issue as a result of COVID. So we were dealing with all those different items, and we thought it would take 12 months, but it took a little bit longer to do that.
I hesitate to ask because you had a grin on your face, but it does take time. I mean, there are things you just can't get it done in the time that you hope to have it done.
You said build it back bigger and better. We built it back better, not as big, but it is quality. And we felt like we were led spiritually by our Savior to do what we did and the way we did it.
There are things that you come across or came across. I mean, somebody had to go in there and do all of the looking around and see what can be salvaged and so forth. And there are other things that you just got to throw it away, you take a brick? Did you take something home with you? And I did all of the people, because I got to believe somebody took something home.
There were several of the bricks of the old previous church, and we have 4 at our house, and other folks have. But the emotionalism is hard to share with other folks when you have people that were baptized in the church, they were married in the church, their children were baptized in the church, their children were married in the church. There were so much emotionalism involved in building it back, maybe a little like it was, but we couldn't build it back exactly like it was.
Can you remember, either of you, can you remember the last time you were in church before this happened? I guess it was the Sunday before the Saturday, or the Friday night, Saturday morning. Do you have any thoughts about that? We were just there the last week, and now it's all gone. I can hear that right now.
When I looked at downtown Dresden, when I drove into Highway 89, and I saw the destruction from County Farm Road all the way into town, I couldn't get into town. I had to take a back way to get in. And I looked at the devastation. I looked at what had happened downtown Dresden, the Cumberland Presbyterian Church, the City Hall, Fire Department, Police Station, all the businesses. And then I thought about Dawson Springs, Kentucky. I've been there a number of times, totally wiped out. And I thought about Mayfield, and I thought about how fortunate and blessed we were. No lives were lost. Very few people were injured to my knowledge. It was a blessing in a way, but I realized the challenge was in front of not only our church, but everyone in the community, in the city, or outside the city, to rebuild. And it's been a long, arduous journey for a lot of folks. We're just a part of that journey.
If you've just joined us, we've got Wayne McCreight and Sarah Pentecost with us here today. And we're talking about the construction that has been taking place in Dresden at the First United Methodist Church. And to follow that up, did you lose anybody? When I say that, and I mean people decided, okay, we're never going to come back together, it's going to take too long. You have some drifters that made a decision that they wanted to go to another church or feel as though they had to be in church. And so
we've had a couple of folks. Part of it was transportation issues, going 9 miles north of town. From that standpoint, we've had some, during this time, we've had some members to pass away. So yes, we have faced a little of that. We've gotten some new members, and last year the church we're now functioning at 100%. We've moved in, and we've did the fine tuning that everybody does when they move into a structure, and lack of a better term, we're ready to go forward with vigor and valor to continue to do what we need to do in the ministry of our church.
Miss Sarah, did they have a choir, or was it congregation?
We had a choir loft, but we no longer had a choir. We were not, but we had a nice choir loft.
And you got one now?
No, we do not.
So now it's a congregational group.
Is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of the way to get everybody on the same, when I go around and I've been in a lot of churches, and sometimes they got people up front, and they got people in the congregation. But the truth be known, it's worship is what it is. So when you had your first day of being Sunday, okay, and I don't know if you waited till the next week or 3 weeks out or whatever it was, but what was like going to another church and having a worship service?
I drove too fast to start with. I was used to going to church in 5 minutes, and I had to go in 15. But just never the same. Now, they were welcoming, a little group. And I was born out that area and went to the little Episcopal church a long, long time ago. And they had like 8 members, I think. So they were very glad to have us.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember that first service after the tornado? You remember, what we prayed about, what we talked about, and what did we get to know a little bit better about who we are?
The members of the Episcopal Church graciously opened their church up for our members to come. And first Sunday that we had, that I can recall, is that we were blessed to have an opportunity to be together as a church and worship and begin the process of moving forward. And quite candidly, the challenges that we had in rebuilding were exorbitant. They were one after the other that we dealt with. But perseverance and listening to your heart and praying led us to the point that we are now.
Tell me about your pastors.
Brad Jordan was with us, and then he transferred to Tipton County, and Dennis Vance came in the last 3 years to lead the flock, to be our pastor. Tough for anybody to come in, take over a church, the leadership from a ministry standpoint. They don't have a structure.
And don't know the people.
Correct.
I mean, that goes, that's a get acquainted period that you have to deal with, getting to know the families. What are they, would be best to help us and do certain things in the church, whether it means to go out to the nursing home or some other place. Did you find that you lost family members? And now when I say that, I mean normal. And what I'm basically saying is you've had people pass away, I guess, from your church. And normally they would probably be in the church, perhaps, or be a part or have a service and so forth. When you lose those people, there's something missing when you have somebody.
From the time COVID hit, till we went back in our new church, we lost 18 members. They were older, and we had an old congregation. But I mean, they've been there ever since I can remember. But that's a lot. That's a big loss.
It was difficult when you were in church to look in a certain area where normally.
And they ain't there.
Correct.
That's one of those things that, how is this church going to be different from the one that was taken by the tornado, the E5?
We don't have nearly as many older. Since I'm the oldest one there, we just don't have a lot of in my age group.
Well, what is your age group now?
I'm 83, Paul.
You don't have many 83-year-olds in the congregation? Are you the oldest congregant?
The one attending, yes, and the one that's been there the longest.
How does that make you feel?
I'm just proud to tell you. It doesn't bother me a bit.
Well, I mean, looking at the bigger picture, I mean, here you are. You're still with the church.
Absolutely.
And to be able to have, not having to, some people go away from church. Why do you think that is?
Well, COVID, streaming, Facebook allows people to have maybe a reason or an excuse, however you want to clarify that. I know that during COVID and during our time that we traveled north to the Episcopal Church, there were folks that were streaming on Sunday. We did not have that ability at Pisgah. We do have Facebook on our Sunday morning services. But I think that the tornado, COVID, having to travel to another location had an effect.
By the way, I want to correct something. It's an E3, not an E5. I just said that a moment ago. Either way, things were really bad, and we're talking about going back 5 5 years now, something that it's hard to believe that has happened. But what's going to happen on this day that you have coming up on a special date, which is June the 7th, and what will take place on that Sunday?
We will have a dedication. The district superintendent will be there to lead the service. We expect a lot of former members who have moved to other locations to come back in for that service. We will be dedicating the cornerstone box and the bell out in front of the church. After the sermon, we will go outside for that dedication, and we're going to have a on-the-ground lunch, and we're inviting anybody and everybody to come and be with us to share this very, very special day in the history and the lives of our church.
Pastor and the person who handles the music, do you have some other people that are inside the circle, if you will, preparing all of this to happen?
We came, sorry, Paul, our music is just out of sight. We have Miss Judith Ann Wade. She was Judith Ann Pritchett. She plays the piano, and we have Chris Ridgway playing the organ, and they are fabulous.
You know, I think you want to have a full house, and you know, whether it be the mayor or the mayors or just community people. You know, I think it's great to open up those doors and let them see and not have to be intimidated or anything about coming into church. And I believe sometimes that people are uncomfortable for the very first time they go into a church. But First Methodist Dresden doesn't have that problem because you love everybody and you're welcoming everybody here.
Doors wide open. Come as you are. We're looking forward. There are going to be invitations sent out, and we're inviting all of the officials, if you will, as well as all of the churches in town. If you can't come for the 11 o'clock service, come right after church. We're going to dedicate the cornerstone outside, and we're going to have a lunch, and we'd love to have the whole community attend.
Very good. And this is, again, on June 7th. It's Sunday, and worship service begins at 10:30?
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Get there at 10:30, folks. You may not get a good seat if you don't hurry up, get there. Let me give you the last word, Miss Sarah, why this was an important piece to share it with our listeners.
I guess I'd have to say, Paul, it just means so much to me that there's just always been my church, and this is my church. And I'm so gracious that we had the money and the trustees and all the people to help put it back together. And lots of donations.
Historic. We're back. Got a cornerstone box. For the next time that it's opened, won't be in my lifetime. I plead and pray. May be so far in the future, but at some point in time, it may be open and they will be able to see the artifacts from 1924 and 2026.
Glad we had this chance to visit. Thank you so much. Wayne McCreight and Sarah Pentecost were talking about the First United Methodist Church in Dresden, Tennessee, and this is a very, very big event, June 7th, if you can make it, at 11 o'clock, a little earlier maybe, and then enjoy some wonderful food and, of course, getting to know some people that you maybe haven't met before. Thank you again for sharing this, because this is part of what should be in the corner box, so cornerstone box.
Thank you, Paul. We appreciate you.
That's our program today. Thank you very much, everybody. Wayne McCreight and Sarah Pentecost. This is Paul Tinkle, pre-recorded on 30 Minutes.
You've been listening to 30 Minutes, a community affairs program on Thunderbolt Radio. You can listen to this broadcast and others anytime by visiting thunderboltradio.com and following the Thunderbolt Radio and Digital YouTube page. Thanks for listening.